Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book Voices for Leadership, no other than Mr. Colin C. Thompson. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Colin, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely. And thanks for having me one on one. It's great to be here because this is actually will be the first time I actually talk about my book, the book I contributed to, which came out in 2023. As you mentioned, I'm Colin C. Thompson. I am here in Shanghai, China. I am a coach, trainer, and consultant, and most importantly, I am an international speaker. So it's great to be here to communicate some of my thoughts on not just the book I contributed to, but one of the books that most influenced me as well.
Mr. Colin C. Thompson, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. From chaos to clarity, imagination, recovery, mental fitness, and power of choosing hard things. Can you tell us about this? All this stuff, Mr. Cullen?
Absolutely. And you mentioned the power of choosing hard things. So if you have the book I contributed to, my chapter is called Self Leadership, a prerequisite for effective leadership. And Daniel, here's the thing. It's not about leading others. It's about effectively leading yourself. And we talk about doing hard things. Quite frankly, deciding to contribute to this book was something that was very difficult because that was not something that I planned to do. And of course, when I was asked to contribute, I felt intimidated. I said, I'm not a writer, I'm not an author. So being able to lead myself into getting over my imposter syndrome and decided to lean into the hardness and contribute to this book, that's just one of the attributes of having the ability to have strong mental fitness and lead yourself, self leadership.
Indeed, Mr. Cullen, leadership. How does true life coaching fundamentally differ from getting advice from friends or reading self help books or traditionally therapy?
Let me tell you, that's I love that question. And here's why. A lot of people I come into contact with, they say, Colin, I also want to be a life coach because my friends tell me I give great advice. Daniel, the main difference between somebody giving advice and a trained life coach is a trained, qualified life coach. We do not give advice. We help our clients find their way forward. When you're giving advice, you're giving based on your experience, based on your ideas. And in coaching, our experience and our ideas don't come into play. It's all about the client's experience and the client's ideas. That's one major difference. But I want to add one thing. One of the ways that I explain what coaching is, if you think about therapy or therapy or counseling is usually to deal with an incident from the past. And typically, it's an emotionally heavy incident from the past. With coaching, we acknowledge the past. We focus on the future. We focus on what we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to become. So again, we don't focus on overcoming hardship from the past. We focus on going forward and achieving what the client wants to accomplish.
Very well said, Mr. Cullen. Beautifully articulated. What specific signs indicate someone is genuinely ready for coaching versus just wanting quick fixes or validation?
Well, there is no sign. There is no sign because people can be in different levels of desire to get better. So there's no sign. But one of the things that one sign is when a client will pay. Right. If a client is ready to pay, that's a great sign that they're ready for coaching because they are paying their way forward, meaning they are investing in themselves to improve and to get better. So that's one side. But really, truly, when a potential client sits down and shares what they're trying to accomplish, and then they make a commitment to actually do it. And that's where a coach comes in. We help keep the clients accountable. So again, there's no sign that a person is coaching, but once somebody shows up and pays, we know that they're taking it seriously.
What tangible, measurable outcomes distinguish successful life coaching from vague feeling better?
Okay, so from the perspective of a client, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think vaguely feeling better is fine, but that may be more short lived. So when it comes to coaching, in one coaching session, the client may feel better, but we're going for something that may take longer. So as opposed to having that standalone feeling of success, we want to have that on a continual basis. Each session, we want the client to feel like they're getting closer or they're back on track. So with coaching, it's more of consistent, a consistent more of a consistent manner of going forward. You want the client to feel better, feel good after each session. It's not necessary, but as opposed to having one aha moment or one feel good session, we want the client to feel good continually, and that's what we try to help the client do in each session. In each session, we want the client to learn more about themselves and the situation.
Mr. Colin, let's talk about the voices for leadership, embracing diverse strategies for effective leadership. Can you share your topic that empower us?
Absolutely. Now, first of all, I was very fortunate to join, I think, about 35 other authors to contribute to the book. And one of the things I love about this book is I am the final chapter in the book. And sometimes when you read a book, you remember the first chapter and the last chapter. So I'm happy to be the last chapter in the book. My chapter was called Self Leadership, a Prerequisite for Effective Leadership. And the reason why I wanted to talk on or contribute that topic is because in my coaching, I focus on the individual. I focus on helping individuals embrace harmony in chaos. And to embrace harmony in chaos, you must have strong mental fitness and you must take care of yourself first. You know the old saying, when the plane's going down, I'm sorry, before the plane takes off, they say, if there's an accident, put your life vest on first, right? Which means you must be able to take care of yourself first before you can help others. So self leadership, it really talks about the importance of building up and being able to lead. If you're able to have strong self leadership skills, it'll lead to better self awareness. You know your strengths and your weaknesses. It promotes self motivation. You do not need external motivation. And today, one of the challenges we have is we need too much external motivation and we don't have the strength to build up ourselves. It helps you manage your time and resources better, and it promotes adaptability. And what that means, it promotes resilience. One of the things that, again, that we may be losing is our ability to be resilient. So self leadership is really about having the skills to maintain from within.
Mr. Colin, what inspired you to contribute or write voices for leadership?
Yeah, and as I just mentioned, it was really because I want to touch the individual. A lot of times, a lot of times we'll create things for the masses. When I coach on a one-on-one basis. So I wanted to provide a chapter that I didn't speak to as an individual. How do we go out and manage our team? I want to reach out to, as an individual, how do we manage ourselves? Because a lot of people are able to have empathy for others, but not for themselves. What I mean by that is a lot of individuals will say, you know what, I have more compassion for other people than I do for myself. Well, that tells me you're not really taking care of yourself. So this chapter was very important to me because it helped the individual understand the importance of first taking care of yourself. Before you try to lead, inspire, and motivate others, you must be able to lead, inspire, and motivate yourself.
What makes Voices for Leadership different from other leadership books on the market?
Well, I think one of the main differentials is the fact that this book has so many different contributors. These individuals who some experienced leaders, some were at the time were new leaders, and all contributing to help inspire others. As you mentioned, the full title is Embracing Diverse Strategies for Effective Leadership. So there are so many different examples through storytelling, through case studies, through sharing on how to be an effective leader. Now, other books may focus on servant leadership or transformational leadership. in the single book, you have people talking about all different types of leadership. And I think that's one of the main differentiators between other books.
The book featured diverse voices. How do different cultural or generational perspectives enhance leadership effectiveness?
Well, I think that it's the title of one of my speeches. Now more than ever, now more than ever, leaders have to be able to lead different cultures, different ages. They have to be able to lead different generations, and having the ability to do that means that you have come in contact and you're comfortable with people from diverse backgrounds. Gone are the days where teams are made up of all men, all Caucasians. Now more than ever, we have more diversity amongst our teams. Now more than ever, organizations are more international. So you have to have the skills to communicate and work with people from all different backgrounds. And that's what embracing these diverse backgrounds and effective leadership is all about.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Colin. And what role does emotional intelligence play in the leadership approaches discussed in the book?
Yeah, so emotional intelligence, EQ, excuse me, is one of the most important, not just self leadership, but leadership skills a leader can have. And what that means is you are in touch with the feelings, the thoughts of yourself and your team. And again, in order to effectively, I'm not talking about self leadership now, I'm talking about being a leader of a team. In order to effectively lead a team, you must be able to connect to them on a deeper level. And it's not just nuts and bolts. You must be able to listen, not just with your ears, but with your eyes and with your heart. So emotional intelligence is where you're able to connect with your team members and, of course, yourself on a deeper level.
In a deeper level, for sure. Can you speak to any common themes or strategies that emerge across different contributors?
The main theme within this book, and I think in leadership overall, is the fact that to be an effective leader, you really have to be a servant leader. You have to be there to serve your team. You're not. It's less the old-fashioned dictatorial type of leadership, and now it's more of I'm here to serve. How can you make your team? How can you make your team members more valuable? How can you make them? How can you inspire and motivate your team? So the consistent theme in the book is the fact that leaders need to really, as you mentioned before, have high EQ, emotional intelligence, and really be servant leaders where they're there to serve their team members. Not the company, they're there to serve the team members. Because if they're serving the team members will take care of the company.
Interesting, Mr. Colin. And let's talk about the real world applications. How can a young or emerging leaders apply the insights from the book in their own careers?
Absolutely. And what's great about this book, it speaks on leadership at several different levels. You may be a single contributor who just got promoted, and now you're a new leader. This book will talk about examples how to be that young junior leader. So leaders at different levels can really get insights from different chapters in the book. I think the beautiful thing about leadership now is, and I think Gen Z, I'm not sure what generation, the younger generation, they're coming in there with that more laissez-faire type of leadership. They're coming in there where they want to be cool with their colleagues. They don't want to have that mother-father type of relationship. They want to be on the same level. So I think people now are coming in there with the right ideas on how to lead. They just may not have the skills to lead us yet.
Yes, indeed. And what advice would you give to someone leading a multicultural or intergenerational team?
Get training. I will say that right now it's very important that you do take some sort of additional courses on emotional intelligence, on intercultural communication, because now there are several nuances. I'm here in China. And I can tell you there are several nuances culturally that don't play in all places. So understanding what's acceptable culturally for certain team members versus other team members is key. So take a course, and you can go online and take a course that's finished in a few weeks. Take a course on emotional intelligence, empathy, and of course, intercultural communication.
How can young or emerging leaders apply these insights, Mister?
One day at a time.
One day at a
One day at
time.
a time. The first thing is listen, absorb, and apply it. And understand something. A lot of great leaders used to be terrible leaders. So don't worry. Don't worry. Day one, you have to be the best leader. Be the best teammate. Be the best coworker. Be the best colleague. Right. And of course, be the best leader internally first.
How can organizations incorporate these diverse leadership strategies into their training or culture?
Well, luckily, ever since George Floyd, a lot of companies, at least on paper, started doing more diversity education within the organizations. And I say on paper because um, we all know that that may not be the case now. So the first thing is listening to the employees, really having a system in place where employees can give feedback to the point where they won't be penalized for giving feedback. Because you have to, sometimes when we get to high level leadership, we don't understand what's going on in the field, so to speak. So having an environment where colleagues can share their experiences and can get support.
And which chapter or contribution from another author surprised or impacted you the most, Mr. Colin?
So years ago, I heard about this little book, little paperback book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clayson. And this book was really about it was really about financial intelligence. It's a book on fables on how to really better manage your money and how to go from one penny to having riches. And the beautiful thing about the Rich Man of Babylon is it doesn't just talk about financial awareness. It teaches you about empathy. It teaches you about intuition. There are several different lessons, and I've read that book at least 18, 19 times, and I'm always finding different nuggets. And what's beautiful now is if you don't want to read it, you can listen to it. Right? You can listen to it as well. And again, it's very insightful. I first read it in I want to say probably 1999, and I read it almost once a year. That's once again that's The Richest Man in Babylon.
Richest Man in Babylon, people, is highly recommended by Mr. Colin C. Thompson. So, as an author and as a coach, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, um, then if I can, I want to first just talk about how I got about being in the book because I, I said I never had a goal of being an author. I did have a goal of being an author, quite frankly, but I never thought I would do it. So being an author or writing a book, excuse me, was one of my long-term goals. And I say writing a book instead of being an author because a lot of people will say, I'm not an author, but we want to write a book. So there's a disconnect there. So I wanted to write a book, but I didn't have confidence I could be an author. And Brian Brogan, who was the main author of the book, reached out and said, "Hey, Colin, would you like to contribute a chapter?" Initially, I said no. I said no, thank you. I'm not an author, so go find somebody else. But then I realized, wait a second, writing a book is one of my long-term goals. So what can I do now to support that long-term goal? Well, how about contribute a chapter in somebody else's book? It's sort of like dipping a toe into the water, so to speak. So one of my long-term goals was to write a book. However, I was able to contribute to another book and be an author by submitting this chapter for this book. So that was sort of like a long-term goal that got satisfied in short term. I would say that my my next long-term goal is it's going to be a little off topic is to complete a full Ironman. That is more of a physical feat as opposed to a mental feat. But if I'm being honest, that is my biggest goal in life is to finish a full Ironman. I hope to do that in the next 2 or 3 years before I get too old. But coming back on a professional level, my biggest goal now is to build my coaching business and be able to help additional more and more individuals reach their goals and get past what's blocking them from being wonderful.
Good luck to you, goals, Mr. Colin. And what is your piece of advice for those people out there want to be an author and want to be a coach like you?
So my advice is very simple. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 words that Daniel, I promise you, your community, yourself, anybody listening, if you follow these 6 words, I guarantee you, you will reach your goals. I guarantee you, you'll be able to accomplish things you never thought you could accomplish. So my advice for everybody is just these 6 words. Okay. One, two, three, four, five, 6 words. And I guarantee you, if you follow these 6 words, you will get to where you want to go. Are you ready?
We are ready. Wait, I'm
Do
gonna give you a drum roll, okay?
okay,
We
okay.
are ready.
Do not stop until you succeed. Do not stop until you succeed. That's it.
Yes, try and try until you succeed, people. Yo,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
awesome, awesome advice,
And Daniel,
Mr.
isn't it
Colin.
funny how sometimes simple words can be so powerful?
Yes,
These 6 words are very simple, not complicated, not complicated. But you know what? Most people will not follow it. Most
true.
people will give up. Will give up. Most people will stop standing up and getting up. And again, you may pause for a while, but do not stop until you succeed.
Persistent is the key, people. Persistent. If you have the passion to write, as Mr. Colin, don't stop writing. And Mr. Colin, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge facing leaders today, and how does this book help address it?
Well, I'm not sure the book is going to be addressing this because the book was written in 2023, and here we are a few years later. I think the biggest challenge now for leaders is being able to inspire and motivate the team members when the team members are distracted, when the team members now view work and employment differently. With the amount of people who are working from home, work now is more of a burden than it is a responsibility. So leaders now have to find different ways to motivate and inspire the team members, knowing that the attention span for the team members is very, very short. Is very, very short. Now team members go through the day watching just as much YouTube or Netflix as they are working. So it's very hard now for leaders to be effective from afar.
Yes. And Mr. Cullen, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Fortune, my Book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in its third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And Mr. Colin, what's next for you? Are there any follow-up or project, workshop, or speaking engagement plan related to this book?
Yeah, so next week I will be traveling I'll be traveling to Beijing, China, to do a number of keynote speeches, and the keynotes is all. So my background is IT, so I'm going to the TID international conference where I'll be speaking to IT professionals, 2 different keynotes, and both about mindset and the human factor in the work environment, and I'm speaking on how with AI, with all of these different distractions, employees now are feeling left behind. The more we use AI, the more we feel like we're losing our skill set. So I'm going to talk to them about the importance of of having that, what I would say, maintaining their mindset while they're deciding whether or not change how they work, how they interact with technology. So I'll be in Beijing for two keynotes in a few weeks, and my goal there is to help individuals to embrace harmony in chaos of the workplace.
Yes, looking for that, Mr. Colin, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your book, or coaching, or speaking, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Just come on to my website, colincthompson.com. It's colincthompson.com, and you will absolutely see some goodies there for you to download.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Colin C. Thompson because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering coaching and speaking, and more empowering legacy to come. So, Mr. Colin, thank you so much for your time.
Great to be here.
More to come, people. See you soon.